Good morning, years 1 and 2. Welcome to this Monday's penultimate maths meeting. That means it's the one before the very last one, which will be next week. So sitting up nice and straight, ready for our song, and let's get going. We love maths, yes we do. We love maths and we're ready to. With a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We love maths, it's really great. So we're going to start with some counting today as normal, but this time we're going to use the 100 square and the counting to help us solve some addition and subtraction problems. It's really important that we can count forwards and backwards in ones. We can use the 100 square to help us for now, but if we can do it also mentally in our head by using fingers if we need to, that would really help as well. So I'm going to give you the first number, or the first number sentence, which says 54 add 7. So I'm going to find 54 on my 100 square, and I can count on 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I know that my answer is 61. Without using my 100 square, I can hold that first number in my head, which was 54, and I'm going to count on 7. So 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61. So there are the 7 fingers that I needed to add, and I know the number that I landed on is 61. So I can put my answer down there. So that's using the 100 square and doing it mentally. So the next one is a subtraction where we need to count backwards in ones. So this says 32 subtract 5. So if I find 32 on my 100 square, this time I've got to go the other way. I've got to count backwards. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can find that my answer is 27. Without the 100 square, I'm going to put the number 32 in my head, and I'm going to count backwards 5. Ready? So 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27. So that's the 5 that I've counted back, and I've landed on the same number, which is 27. So on the next slide, I'm going to put some number sentences on for you, which are both addition and subtraction. Use your 100 square if you need to, but really try hard to hold that number in your head and count forwards or backwards in ones. Okay, good luck. Okay, the next activity we're going to do today, we haven't done this in maths meetings before. It's finding out about weight, how much something weighs. We also call it its mass. So it's how heavy or how light something is. And we can use different units of measurement for that. We can use grams and kilograms. So my challenge for you at home is to find out how many grams are there in 1 kilogram. Okay. And then what I want you to do is to go and find, I'm sure at home and at school you will have some scales. If you haven't, then I will give you some questions on grams and kilograms afterwards for you to join in, and everybody can join in with those. But at home I have got a set of scales, weighing scales. And scales, all the little lines on here, like a ruler, like we did last week, they have different intervals on them. That means like different numbers. Some scales go up in maybe 10 grams, maybe 100 grams. Mine actually goes up in 200 grams, 400 grams, and so on. So I have to be very careful when I'm looking at the scales along here. So when I use my scales, I have to make sure that the red line is, you probably can't see very well, but is on 0. So I know that it's going to start off as 0. And then I'm going to find different objects around my house and find out how much they weigh. So for example, I've got my mobile phone here. So I'm going to pop that in and I'm going to find out how much that weighs. And that weighs 200 grams. I might want to weigh a marker pen. I'll put that in. And I wonder if the marker pen weighs less or more than my mobile phone. And sometimes you can hold them in your hand and be able to decide which one's heavier and which one's lighter. But when I put my pen in, I can see, oh, it only weighs, it's about 20 grams. It's not very heavy compared to the mobile phone. So what I'd like you to do at home, if you've got some scales, I want you to find 5 items around your house that you can just have a play with at home. Put in some scales, put them in some scales, and tell me roughly how much they weigh. So to the nearest whole gram. So 40 grams, 100 grams, 200 grams, and so on. If you haven't got a set of scales at home, I'd like you to have a look at things that might be in your kitchen cupboard. Wait there just a second. And in your kitchen cupboard, I'm sure you've got some items. I've got, for example, a tin of baked beans here. And on the back, it tells me how heavy it is. And this tells me that it's 410 grams. So if you haven't got any scales, I want you to go around and find 5 things in your house and let me know what they are. And you can write them down on a piece of paper. Okay. Lastly, I'm going to ask you then, you need to find out first of all how much is a kilogram and a gram. But your next question will be, if I wanted to weigh an elephant, would I use grams or kilograms? And if I wanted to weigh a book, I've got a book right here, I've got the Enchanted Wood, would I use grams or kilograms? So that you need to find out how much each one of those is for now. Okay, off you go. Hi, back again. Carrying on with thinking about measurement, we're going to look at what we call volume and capacity. And that is how much liquid a container can hold. So again, it's a unit of measurements. And we look at millilitres and litres, where we just write an L. Your job now is to find out how many millilitres there are in a litre. Okay, find out which one's bigger and which one's smaller. And when we're using millilitres and litres, just like before when we were weighing things, you may have at home or in school a measuring jug. And on my measuring jug, it's got some scales up the side that I can learn to read them. And this measuring jug goes up to half a litre. So this contains half a litre and it goes up in units of 100 millilitres. So this container, I have got 100 millilitres in. This bottle of Robinson's lemon drink, if you look on the back, this has got a litre. It's a litre of things. So your job today is to find out how much is in different containers. You can find me 5 things again and work out how many millilitres and how many litres are in each one. So have a go at doing that. If you haven't got a measuring jug at home, and you could be practicing just measuring out different amounts, it'll be really useful to practice reading scales, then just find the 5 items that I'm sure you've got in your cupboard. So questions for you on this one are, would I use millilitres or litres to fill up a bath of water? And my next question would be, if I wanted to add some milk to a cup of tea, do you think you'd use millilitres or litres? Okay, the next part is about 3D shapes. 3D shapes are three-dimensional shapes, which are solid objects. And you can see many of these 3D shapes in real life in situations. So, for example, we have a sphere here, and this is just like a ball in real life. We've got a cylinder here, and that's just like a tube of Pringles or something like that. And then we find lots of cubes all around the house and in everyday life. So the next part of this is going to be guess my shape. I'm not going to tell you about the properties of the shapes. You've got to guess them by the way I describe them, but I'm going to go through with you what shapes I've got and discuss a little bit about their properties. That means what their features are. So the first one we've got is a cylinder. We've got a cuboid, a cone, a cube, a sphere, a square-based pyramid, and a triangular prism. Okay, so they're the ones that we're going to look at today. And the features of 3D shapes, we have what's called faces, and the faces, I'll show you on this cuboid, it's a little bit bigger. The faces are like these sort of flat faces here, although they're not all flat, they are in this shape. But these are the faces, these are the big sort of surfaces. Then we talk about edges, and these are the edges that go around the sides, okay? And we also have vertices, and vertices is a corner where the edges meet. Each one of these is called a vertex, and the plural of those is vertices. So we talk about 3D shapes of having either flat or curved faces, number of edges, and the number of vertices they have. Okay, so this one gets quite a little bit more complicated. So there's a link to BBC Bite Size that I'm going to put on, which I think would really help with 3D shape and learning about those as a bit of revision. Okay. Ready to play Guess My Shape. The first shape has got one curved face and it's got no edges. So if you remember, an edge is where two faces meet. So it's got no edges and it's got no vertices. And a vertex is a corner where the edges meet. So it's got no edges, it's got no vertices, just one curved face. It's quite an easy one. Have you guessed what I am? I'm a sphere. Well done. Okay, next one. This next one, I've got 6 flat faces, I've got 12 edges, and I've got 8 vertices. Now I could be one of 2 shapes, but this shape, its flat faces are made up of squares. So they're all the same size. And you can talk about 3D shapes of having properties of 2D shapes as well. So what am I? I'm a cube. Well done. Okay. The next shape I've got has got two faces. One is curved, one is flat in the shape of a circle. I've got one edge and I've got one vertex. So I wonder if you can tell me, what am I? It's where the two faces meet. So I've got a vertex. I am a cone, like an ice cream cone. Okay, right, the next one. The next one, I've got three surfaces. One of them is curved, two of them are flat, shaped as circles. I've got two edges. I've got no vertices. What am I? I'm a cylinder. Well done. Okay, next one. I have got 6 flat faces or surfaces. I've got 12 edges and I've got 8 vertices, which is similar to another shape that we've already had. But the flat faces are shaped as rectangles. So hopefully that will give you a clue. What am I? I'm a cuboid. Well done. Okay, the last two are a little bit tricky. So the next one, I've got 5 flat faces, I've got 8 edges, and I've got 5 vertices, 4 at the bottom, 1 at the top. And my bottom flat shape is shaped as a square. That might give you a bit of a clue. Have you guessed it? I am a square-based pyramid. And actually these flat faces are also shaped as triangles. Okay, the last one. This is quite tricky. This has got 5 flat faces. It's got 9 edges and it's got 6 vertices. And the two shapes, flat shapes at the end of it, are shaped as triangles, and the other flat shapes are shaped as rectangles. Do you know what I am? This is a tricky one. I am a triangular prism. Okay, so there you've got some triangles there, and then these ones look like rectangles. Okay, so your challenge is to see if you can find objects around the house that are shaped like a sphere, a cone, a cuboid, a cube, and any of those other shapes. Okay, so it's a bit of a shape hunt around the house as well. Okay, this next part, we are going to look at adding 3 single digits together. And when we do that, we're looking for connections that we know between some numbers. So I'll give you an example. So with this example, I've got 6, add 2, add 4. I wonder what we already know about 2 of these numbers that would go together to help us add these numbers up really quickly. Well, we know that 6 and 4 makes 10. So we could do 6 and 4 is 10, add 2, and then that becomes a lot easier to work out. The answer is 12. We could just add up 6, then add 2 to it, which is 8, and then add 4 to it, which is 12. But with number, we always try to look at connections between number, which really helps us to do things mentally and a bit quicker. So I'm going to put some examples on the next slide, and I want you to have a go and see if you can find the pairs of numbers that might make tens or any other number that you would know, and see if you can do those mentally in your head, and then write your answers down. So you can write them out as a number sentence, but see if you can do that quite quickly. So the last part of the maths meeting today are some oral questions. Like we started last week, they're questions that you need to think carefully about the questions that I'm asking you and write down the answers. And again, you might want to write down some of the numbers that I'm saying. So question number 1. Thomas has 4 friends. He's got Ben, Felice, Louis and Declan. He gives 10 pence to each friend. How much money does he give away altogether? Write your answers down. Number 2. I am counting forwards. When I stop counting, you've got to write the next number down. Now, you might need to have a little think about this. Are you ready? 97, 98, 99, 100. What number comes next? Have a go and see if you can write that down correctly. Question number 3. There are 63 bean bags in a sack. 63. You might want to write that number down. Leah takes 10 bean bags away. How many bean bags are left? Think about what number sentence that would look like and think about the counting backwards in tens that we've done before. Okay, next question. Got it on my whiteboard. I've got these 3 numbers here, 5 numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. I've got 73, 37, 76, 36 and 63. And I want you to write them out, starting with the smallest, finishing with the largest number. Okay, have a go at doing that. Next question, revising some things on time again. So have a look at this question. It says circle the shortest time. Oh, you can't read that very well, I've smudged it. So this first one, we've got 70 minutes, 10 minutes, 45 minutes, or 1 hour. Which is the shortest amount of time? Next question, giving you 4 numbers here, 73, 58, 64, 45. Put a circle around the 2 numbers that are even. Okay. And the last one we're going to do, I'm going to give you some numbers. And the numbers I'm going to give you are 0, 14, 50 and 61. You've got to write each number just once. So you've got to use those 4 numbers and decide which boxes they go in. And remember, you've got the sign here, and that sign means the greater than sign. So see if that helps you to work out those numbers there. Have a go at doing that. So I think that's the end of the maths meeting for this week. I know there haven't been any extra songs this week, but next week will be our last maths meeting, and I'm planning on putting all the songs in and having a bit of revision of everything. If there's anything in particular that you've enjoyed or you want me to cover, then let me know in the comments below, and I will try and give you a little mini lesson on it next week. Okay, there will be some maths on the website as usual. So go get your maths heads on, and good luck, and I'll see you next week.